This video has a surprise ending, so watch to the end. This video is about installing a backup camera in an automobile. It doesn't matter what brand. And the backup camera, it doesn't matter what brand. They're all the same either way you go. Cameras and cars. I'm happen to be using my wife's 2006 Honda Accord in this example, but as I said, it's about all the same. This is about installing it, doing a really clean install in tracing the wires on through. You have to take the car apart a little bit to get it there, but I've seen some of the other videos, and that's why I've decided to make this one, because some of the stuff these guys are showing folks how to do is just substandard, let's put it that way. My hat's off to them for giving it the good old college try, but man, some of those jobs are just not up to par. So this is about installing the Westodds HD car DVR system, but I'm only going to show you how to do the backup camera, because that's really the hardest part. The dash-mounted display unit, it just sticks on there, or you can find your own way in your own car to do that. And by the way, this wiring this on through is not just for the Honda Accord. This could be any vehicle. You have to figure out how to get the car apart, but wiring it is pretty much typical. So that's the mounted camera right there, and I'm just showing you real quick how clean the installation actually is. I take down. You have to take down that panel right there, and then you trace your wires on through next to the other existing wiring loom that's there, and then go back behind this gray panel. And I'm just tucking it into the top section there. I'm not going all the way through, down at the bottom or anything like that. And I do the same thing all the way around, and then follow my finger and all the way over to that side there, and that's where I go through the seat. And I come out. You have to take the back seat out, but you poke the wire down through the back of the back seat, and then under the carpet, under the console. You have to take the seat mounts loose at the back of the passenger seat, is what I did, and then some screws loose on the console, and then come down behind the back of the glove box, and then pull your wire up, and then plug it into your heads-up display, or DVR, right there. So basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to take out, there's buttons that you'll remove. These little black buttons. The center of those, you can see the black line around it, but the center of those little buttons pops out. And when you pop it out, it turns out into, it pulls it out so that it can actually, the whole button can be removed without destroying it. And so that's an example of how to do that, or what it looks like there. After you pull the panel, all those buttons out, and then you've got, and they're really easy to get out. You just put some little sharp thing into the edge of the internal button portion and pull it out, and it comes out real easy. After you get it done, then you've got pretty much this area exposed, and then you come on into, it's a little close up there. Get you some idea about what's going on. Put the emergency brake on, make sure it's on good and tight. Then go ahead and put it in reverse. Don't start it. There's no reason to. Just turn the key on. Put it in reverse, and you have your backup lights show up. And so you'll figure out for sure what wire you've got, and it's really obvious, but I'm going to show anyway. So you go ahead and you pull. That's the wire there, and then you go. And once you've got it out, of course, you got one light that's not working. Now it's only temporary, and after that's done, we're going to come on over here to show you what wire. Pull it out so you can get at it. But it's the green wire that you're going to use. The black wire is the ground wire, and you don't want to use that. That's the green wire is your power wire. And I use one of these Dorman wire connectors. There's no reason to cut any wires here, folks. Now that's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen these guys do. They cut the wires and they black tape them all. Put black electrical tape all over them, or different things. There's no reason to cut any wires whatsoever except for the end of the wire that you're going to use. It's been cut at the factory to allow you to pull the end off so that you have bare wire. Well, you don't want any bare wire. That's what that looks like, and for those of you that's never used one before, and a few of you for sure, but I'm going to show you several pictures of what it actually looks like before you hook it up, and after that metal piece coming. That's after you squash it through, and it grabs the either side of the wire and cuts into it itself. It just bears the wire, so it makes contact with the two wires that you're going to use. One wire is going to be a throughput, and the other wire is going to stop part of the way through. There's just no way to make it go through all the way, like in this. So in this example, that wire that's been cut halfway through, or not been cut, but spliced halfway through, that is the green wire that you're going to see on my in my example on the car. The other wire is the red wire that I'm installing from my DVR, or from my camera. But and that's pretty much what it looks like. This is for the Westodds system. This wouldn't matter. This is any any camera is going to be about the same. You're going to have one long wire that's going to go up to the front of the car, and you're going to have one short wire, which is going to be generally red, I would imagine, and that will be your power wire, and that goes to your backup lights, so it turns it on. And there's an example of the camera there not installed, and you can see the little earplug, or I forget what they call that, but the plug-in. In my instance here, Honda has already put a hole in the trunk for a backup camera, I guess, or for I don't know for what reason, but I'm going to expand that hole and make it larger, because it's not going to do the job that I need to do. I can't get the cord through it, or plug through it. So that hole already existed, and as I said, I'm not sure what it's for, but it had a little plastic plug in there, and that plastic plug was actually pretty messed up. I thought it's a wonder it was still there. Anyway, I'm just checking there to make sure it's going to fit, and it does fit, no problem. So I'm going to snake it up in through there, and that's really tight. My hands are pretty big, but I imagine anybody that's not me won't have so much of a problem. But then I pull it on out, and there's the wire coming through. So now you have your backup camera wiring. Actually, it's in the car now, and there's your backup camera. And I'm going to test this, of course, in a moment here. And you run your wire down here alongside their existing wire loom. And I grabbed both wires by mistake, but the red wire does not belong there. It needs to stay up in the trunk, or inside the liner rather. And I'll pull it back through in just a second. There we go. So it's staying up in there. And wire tie everything. Don't leave it loose if you can. You can see here that's the part that I'm cutting their end off. That's the only wire I cut in this whole job. That's the only thing I had to do was cut that one wire. And it's just because you don't want any bare wires exposed in there, rattling around, sparking on things. And you don't need to cut anything. Again, don't cut any. Just skin it back. Skin back your black, because they have some black tape on there they used. The factory did. So skin that back a little bit. Get your green wire to where it's accessible, because that wire connector is not very big. You just have to get it in there, and it goes in the first slot. The green wire goes in the first slot, the wire connector. Don't try and put it all the way to the back. It won't work. So get it in there and get it seated in there and settled. And then you take your red wire, and you're going to plug that in there, well, I think. Now I'm going to take a moment here and then I'll do it. So that's showing the green wire in the first slot. Don't run it all the way to the back, and it won't work. There's the red wire, and you're just poking it in. It won't go all the way through it. There's a stop in there, and it stops at the right area, so that metal, little metal piece can grab both of them when you squash it down on top of those wires. It grabs both the wires. That just showing you what it's going to look like before you squash it down there, and then squash it down, and to that little red flap, little flap on there, put that down there. And I use the black wire because it didn't want to stay shut. I used the black wire just to go put on top of it, kind of put it all inside there because it held it really well that way. So I like that. And we're going to go on down to here to just a view, just to make sure that we're on track here. I got the wires plugged in, and yep, I'm there. I can see myself. So the backup camera is working. Plugging in the light that wasn't working. Now the light's working, the backup camera's working, and we're happy. There it is. I'm going to use wire ties to secure all the wiring. Don't be afraid to use a bunch of wire ties if you need them. Just not going to hurt nothing. And then let's see here. We're on to. I guess we're going to put it all back together again. Now, there's a little plastic piece that fell off the lock assembly, and you put that on first. Make sure you get it on there before you put your liner back up. And you have these little buttons, and they go back in again fairly easily. They're a two-piece thing. Pull the little inner part out, and put the button in, and then put the outside of the button in first, and then put the actual button in. And then there, I'm checking up here. I've taped the camera onto the bottom of the car trunk lid there because I want to check the orientation. I want to make sure that it's up and down properly. So up is up and down is down, and it is. There I've actually installed it, and like I said, the two screws that I'm using are a couple of older screws that I had, but I didn't have to go out and buy nothing, and they were a lot beefier than the other ones were. And I've wire tied these wire ties on the loom itself, and then showing where all of it goes into the trunk there. And here's a kind of a view. This is now this part of the job is done, and it's very clean. The wire is all tucked in back. You can't see it anywhere. It's not going to grab on anything. You're not going to pull it out. So when grabbing something out of the trunk, grabbing those grocery bags, you're not going to grab a wire too. And here is showing. I'm going to have to take the back seat out. And that's a little bit different. You see, there's down between the seats, or the center part of the seat and the right side seat, there's a bolt hiding back in there, and you wouldn't really know that. It just drive you nuts, and you're wondering why it won't come out. But that's the bolt, and you want to use a long extension with a 12 millimeter socket on that. And that'll make it a lot easier. But without that extension, I had a little tiny 3-inch extension. I have no idea where my longer stuff is. I don't do a lot of automotive work anymore, and so I couldn't find it. So I had to use this 3-inch. If you, when you go to do this, it's not hard. Just grab the two sides of the clip. It's under there. You'll feel it really easily. Push down and lift up, and the seat comes loose. One on each end of the seat, and there's the U-shaped piece of metal right there that it makes goes into the clip itself, and you can see on there's one on each end of the seat for driver's side, passenger side, and that's the clip itself. It's not really that difficult to do, but you can see how the metal piece fits in there. The worst thing about is that bolt hole right there. That bolt is hard to see. It's hard to find. Hard to get it back in there again because the seat doesn't want to cooperate. But I think that's one of the hardest things I had to deal with, which was saying a lot. You can see here what I'm going to do is I have a long screwdriver, a really long screwdriver, and I'm going to tape my little connector, headphone connector, whatever you want to call that. I forgot the proper name of that, but tape it on there to the end of the screwdriver so that I can push it down between the trunk floor and the back of the back seat. And this is if you do that, if you do it this way, you won't rip nothing up and tear nothing up, and you can get it down inside there. And you can use I've even used screwdrivers for this kind of thing. I mean, wire coat hangers for this sort of thing before. But see, I've forced it down in there, and you go around to the other side, and voila, there she blows. So that's fairly easy to get to, and you take your wire off of there. Of course, both of those screws have to come out both sides of the jockey box, and then the screws are removed, and also the jockey box lid has to come off there, and you'll see there it's taken off. I took it off there, and there's just two screws back in there in the back, the hinge area that holds it together. And that's the route I'm going to take, going under the carpet where the wire's laying right now. I also have to take off those clips, those plastic covers. They just slide. They're clipped on, but they kind of slide off. They're a little bit fussy, but not bad. Take both of your 14 millimeter bolts out. Those are 14 millimeter bolts. You'll need a 12 millimeter socket and a 14 millimeter socket for this job. And I used some green little pieces of wood that I had shoved up underneath there to prop up the seat so I could get underneath the carpet. And you can see I've pulled the wire through already. In this case right here, what I would tell you is that putting the camera cable underneath of this carpet at this point is kind of difficult. The best way I discovered to do it was to pull the door sill up a tiny bit and pull the carpet up from underneath of it, and then pull the carpet up and back. It's really stiff. It's well formed in there, and it's thick. And so put your hand underneath of it and pull the cable with you all the way up to the corner inside passenger seat mount, and by the console. You can shove it up through the back of the console there. And in this picture right here, you can see where the console or the wire has already been shoved up through the back of the console. And it's only in that position right now just to show you that's where it's at, but eventually I'm going to put it underneath the edge of the console all the way up to the front of the car. And also follow their wire loom with the cable and wire tie it. And if you do that, you're less likely to get in any trouble with the seat squashing your wire and cutting it in half or something with somebody sitting on it. And here you can see where, like I said, where it comes out. And by the way, that back part of the jockey box, that's just clipped on. Once you remove the screw there that you can see on either side, that clips at the top, and then or it clips in there, but it's screwed together at the top with the hinge screws from the jockey box cover. So that's four screws remove that basically. And you can see here I'm putting it back together again after I got everything all cleaned up. And that's it right there. Nice, clean, tight job. It's all, can't see the wire. You can't see that I had ever even been in there. Now I'm going to the front end. This is at the front of the console area below the shifter, below the radio and everything else. So it's down at the bottom. And that's where I got, you can see my cable or my camera cable. I've brought it through, and you can see at the very bottom of the console where the cable comes through right there, and that's where I've pulled it on through. And again, it's a little fussy. You have to go ahead and pull the side of your console out a little bit and shove the cord up underneath there. It's never going to come out, not on its own anyway. Between the seats is the worst part, but it's fairly easily done. And here, what you're seeing is the black portion is the glove compartment, and that you can see the manila envelope and some other items in the glove compartment. There's that little opening right there That's where I'm going to pull my cable up through. And again, you have to fish that through there. And the best way I found to do it was with using a clothes hanger. And I did it the same way that I did the screwdriver. And it just I went down from the top and pushed it on through. And you can reach one hand underneath, and you can, when you're poking that through there, you can feel it. Where the cable's at. You need to put a little hook on the end of the cable, because getting it through there it's really snug. So in order to go ahead and pull your cord on through, you need to put a little hook on the end of your clothes hanger, and then tape your cord to that. Don't tape the cord to the end of your connector, your headphone connector portion. Don't tape that to it alone. Make sure you get some cord on there as well, because otherwise what's going to happen is you take a chance on pulling if you get that wire hung up on anything, you'll pull the end off of it. You don't want to do that. And you can see there's the clothes hanger that I've shut the glove compartment, but you can see it goes through the top and it comes out the bottom. And that's I put a hook at the top and the bottom actually on that right there, but you didn't really need to do the top part. It's something to grab hold of. And here you can see I've got my wire taped to it, and I've pulled it on through. So I do it this way just to show you I'm not talking. It actually can be done. It's just takes a little finesse, and you have to be a little bit more stubborn than the car is, I guess. And again, wire tie your loose cord up, and then shove it back inside there. And then I've got my cable through, and it's connected to the DVR. So after watching this, you ought to be able to install one of these cameras in about any car that you want to, because they've all got trunks, back seats, front seats, carpets, the whole lot. And all the cameras, this is West odds, but all the cameras are pretty much the same. There's a wire going up to the heads-up display, and then a power wire. That's all pretty much the same, putting it in. And watching this, you can do a pretty clean job by just kind of following the same instructions I did, with tiny adjustments depending on car or camera. And I was a mechanic once, and I don't do that kind of thing anymore. These days I'm a historian and history preservationist, and if you look at my channel here, you'll see that's primarily what I do, old films and photographs and such. But I was, like I said, once a mechanic, and I thank my father for that, because when I was a kid, my dad had a wrecking yard, and I worked in that wrecking yard with him, along with my two brothers, and off and on my little sister would come out there and help out as well. But it was a backyard, that's me there, and that's my little sister, and my two other brothers are not in this, but some of the cars are. Cars that we all wish we had right now. At that time, I had a 1936 Oldsmobile, 1956 Chevy Bel Air, and a 1967 Ford Galaxie 500 convertible, man. I love that car. That was my high school car. The other two didn't run, but they were my cars. Anyway, I sure miss those days. There's me again over there. I'm cutting into something. I don't even know what that is, unless that's squash. But that's my brother-in-law. Anyway, I miss those days. Hey, thanks a lot for watching, folks, and y'all have a good day.